What is going on today, guys? Welcome back to another video, and today's video is a little bit weird, I guess you could call it, really. Originally today I was going to upload some Live for Speed content, but I decided in the long run I didn't want to do that at all. The other Live for Speed content I had was it was the first video I filmed on it. The one y'all watched Monday, today when I'm filming this, was the second video I filmed on it, because the first video didn't turn out very good. So yeah, so we're doing this, and this video is kind of interesting. I mentioned it in the Project Explore episode you guys will see tomorrow. I actually filmed those two videos on the same day. Basically, today's video is about the life story of my truck, where I got it from, how in the world it worked out. I got the thing, and then I'm going to show you guys what my wheel bearings look like, because I'm sitting directly right next to them. They're literally right here off camera. My brake rotor, my wheel are all over here, so I'll show you guys that later on. But for right now, let's get started with the story. Alright, so it all started when I was about 14 years old, about 3 years ago almost. A little over 3 years ago, really. And we first started car shopping. Well, I did, at least. I was doing research every day, looking on like what people call the classifieds, the websites like cars.com, Auto Trader, all that good stuff. Trying to look for something that I want that's not too overbearing. A ton of cars came through. The 240SX came through there a lot, and my parents would not, my dad in particular would not budge. The Infiniti G35, a car that me and my mom both loved to death. My dad, again, shot that one down. Basically, a lot of the cars I wanted, my dad would reject. There was a Mini Cooper. That one obviously didn't fall through. There was the Kia, which is also sitting over to the left of me. That actually was my car. If you guys go way back, like right after I first started doing YouTube, I showed that car off. And basically, it's what kind of started me to go into more car videos. But of course, this guy right here behind me is what pushed me over the edge and made me basically transform my channel from a PokeTuber into full-fledged car content. So, basically, the story of the day I bought it, or the day before I bought it. The story for this truck really does start about the day before I bought it. So, fast forward about 2 years to last year. It was a pretty cool day because I looked at two other cars on the internet that I was really excited about. I didn't even know this thing existed the day that I first found out about it. So, my parents have been looking at this truck online. It was their last resort option. This thing was not the top thing on their list originally to look at. There was a Jaguar X-Type, which for those who don't know, it's this big, beefy sedan. And it had a 3-liter inline-six, and it was a beast of a car. Well, the reason we didn't go for that one is because of how it would look to see a 16-year-old at the time boy driving a Jaguar. A big old man-style Jaguar, like Crown Victoria sized. My mom was like, you'll be made fun of for having a Jag at 16. And people would be like, what are you driving your parents' car around? Excuse the pipes there. This garage is poorly built. But we move on from that. We also looked at a 2001 Honda Accord Coupe, which the website was cars.com, and the dealership did not have any actual pictures of the car up. It was just stock photos. So I thought that was pretty sketchy. My parents went and paid $40 because I was actually really interested in the car because I wanted a Honda because I knew how reliable they were, and I knew that they would be pretty cool to modify. They have large tuning communities, all that good stuff. So my parents paid $50 to get a VIN check done on this Honda. It came back pretty rough. They had a rolled back odometer. It was actually 220,000 miles, but the odometer said 120. And also it had a recall on it, which was the Takata airbags that Hondas were notorious for dealing with back then. So we did that. We were like, okay, we can talk them down on the price maybe. My dad goes later that night and checks this thing out, and it's crap. It's a dealership full of cars that were literally just brought in from basically a junkyard, and they sat there. I won't name the dealership in particular because I don't want to get involved in a big scandal with them, but it was bad. I mean, this thing had peeling window tint. The paint was just horrible on the car. And my dad's remarks were, you guys are selling a ton of junk. He climbed in at the time his brand new Mustang and took off. They also tried to sell a 350Z Roadster that didn't even have a top. It was taped on. And then there was another car that didn't even have headlights. That's not even legal. But anyway, I was heartbroken because I really wanted this Honda. My mom tells me on the way home, because I'm guessing at some point my dad and my mom exchanged talking about this, and my mom was just like, keep your shoes on. I'm like, what's going on? Like, am I going to another dealership or something and look at another Honda? And they were just like, no, we're not telling you nothing, just keep your shoes on. I get home, my dad grabs my mom's checkbook for whatever reason. It's just like, hey, let's get in the car. And I'm just like, where are we going? My dad goes, you'll see. And that's the only thing he says the entirety of the trip. Every time I ask, hey, do you know where we're going? He's like, we'll see. We get up to this house, and in the middle of the back, it's like not really backwoods, but it's out close to the woods. And we're just driving through there, and I'm like, seriously, what's going on? Is there just some sort of secret dealership or some secret car that is going to blow my mind sitting back here? I had a feeling it was a car, just by the fact my dad had his checkbook, and it was just completely right after this Honda situation. So we rode out to a house in a little town called Rockmart, Georgia, which is literally about 30 minutes from me, really. A little farther out than that is where I took my license test, on the state highway, ironically enough, somewhere I never drive anymore. We pull up to this house, and this guy's got this dark blue Explorer Sport Trac sitting out front. And at this point, I knew what was going on. I knew that, because my parents had talked about Sport Tracs for months. They said that if I was going to get a truck, they wanted me to have a Sport Trac because of our family being so familiar with the platform. My dad had a 2000 Explorer Sport. My step grandmother had a Explorer Sport Trac as well. My uncle had a Sport Trac. He now has a Ridgeline, ironically enough. But what happened in the long run is we looked at this truck. We knew it had issues. We knew going in with this thing was going to be a pain in the neck sometimes. At the time, it was a 13-year-old truck. And the guy we bought it from didn't really perform very good maintenance on it. The valve cover gaskets were blown when we bought it, really. They had actually just blown on a test drive. And we knew about the damage that's on the truck, as you guys have seen, most of the rust spots and stuff. And we went ahead and we drove it. My dad seemed to really like the truck. He mentioned that it rode just like his Explorer that he had. So my dad was like, well, take time to think about it, because my dad wasn't convinced because of the oil leak. They went home, and I really liked this truck because it was one of the very few cars I've ever looked at in person that I felt like would be perfect for me. And sure enough, the next day, my dad texts him around 9 or 10 a.m. It's just like, hey, we'll offer you this much for it. The truck was actually only worth $2,200. We did overpay a little bit, but the guy originally wanted $4,000 for it. So, I mean, we got a pretty good deal on it. You know, we still overpaid a little bit, but it was better than what we was asking for. So he was like, sure, you got your deal. And my friends were like, that's a little sketchy because he didn't even try to drive the price up a little bit. It was perfect, I guess, for him. And, you know, the more I look back on it, I'm like, you know, I think he really just wanted to get rid of this thing because he had it in the truck at the time, and he didn't care how much he really got for it as long as it wasn't too low. So we were like, all right, cool. So I was sitting outside of my first class period talking to my friend Ethan when I got the text from my mom saying, hey, that Ford Sport Trac is yours. And I'm like, you gotta be joking, right? I just got a car. And 16-year-old me was like flipping out in the middle of a hallway. Just like, yes, I got a truck. And I was so excited to pick this thing up. The night we went to pick it up, it was about 9:30 p.m. We had to wait for the guy to come from work. We went back out to Rockmart. I was like jumping up and down all like the entire way there. My sister, of course, tagged along because she usually does that. She always wants to see everyone's new cars first. Very similar to me. Every time someone goes shopping for a car in my family, I always want to go. So we get back to the house. Truck's sitting there, ready to go. We give them the money. We hop in, turn the key, check engine light. Literally the first time I had sat in the front seat of the dang thing, check engine light comes on. Of course, knock on wood if there were any around here. We get back. We clear the codes the next day, which is when I filmed unveiling video for the truck about 2 years ago. Or about a year ago, is when I did the official unveiling of the truck, and it's quite insane. I mean, I was like, I can't believe I just got a truck, even though I panicked already because of the check engine light, and I'm notorious for panicking when this thing goes wrong, as I did when we found out the wheel bearings and stuff recently, which is still not Jack's for if you can't already tell, but you know. It was an amazing feeling, just like, I've got this truck that's mine, and I've driven it ever since. And for a while, I wanted to get rid of it because it was causing so much problems with it breaking down a little bit. It broke down several times within a few months, and it got on my nerves, and I was like fed up to the point where I was like, I need to get rid of this thing fast. I started looking at the trade options. I started looking at Miatas and other sorts of cars that I really liked, and I was like, just a last ditch effort to try to get rid of this thing. And then my uncle gave me the idea. He was like, why don't you just build what you've got instead of buying another car just to have something to work on? And I was like, that makes total sense, because I've had this truck for a while, and I love this truck to death, don't get me wrong, but it did get on my nerves to that point where I felt like I was putting more money into it than what it was worth. but it's a labor of love now. You know, I get out here every day, and I'm just like, they really made a good choice on this truck. Sure, it's high mileage. The guy we bought it from didn't take care of it really well, but that's to be expected with non-car people in particular. Not all non-car people like this. A lot of non-car people that like don't go to meets and don't research as much and stuff like that. They do know how to take care of their cars, but this guy obviously just drove it around as a work truck and a daily driver and just tortured it, and didn't really put much work into fixing it, which is why we found a ton of stuff that was wrong with it. Of course, you know, it had all the essentials. The transmission was redone at 150K when it blew out. But, I mean, this truck is still probably one of the coolest vehicles I've ever driven, and I struck out lucky, because I wanted something that had a tuning community, and this thing is, like, one of the craziest tuning communities for a truck I've ever seen. I mean, you get all sorts of backgrounds of these things. The lifted trucks, the slam trucks, the bag trucks, the street trucks, like I'm going with. You know, it's insane. And I can't wait to really put more money into this thing over time and really just let this thing let loose. It's been a year now, a little over about a month after a year, about a year and a month. There we go, got my words out. Since we bought this truck, and I can't tell you I can't tell you guys how much I really love this thing. It's been my outlet at times where I've had bad days, or I've had bad experiences at school and stuff like that, drama involving numerous parties over the last year and a half. This thing has been my outlet. It's been what I've gone to when I've been broken down in tears. In fact, for those who don't remember, my grandmother passed away a few weeks ago, and she passed away while I was driving this truck. And it holds that sentimental value to me really now that, you know, my grandmother's last moments, I was in this vehicle. I know that kind of sounds awkward for me to say, but, you know, it sucks that I couldn't make it, but I felt like that even if I was doing something I loved and driving this truck when she passed. So it really did kind of lessen that hurt. I was like, you know, she may have been watching me make the drive home. You know, it was a ransack drive. I was like gassing it because I knew something was going on at the time. So I was just like flooring it everywhere every chance I got, and this thing pulled. I mean, it did well. But yeah, so that is the story of my Sport Trac, and now I'm gonna get up and show you guys the wheel bearings and the rotor and stuff and the wheel off, so you guys can get a general idea of what this crap looks like. So I'm gonna get up. A little dirty out here. All right. So this is a wheel bearing that's been taken off. These are both of the wheel bearings. As you can tell, they're a little shot looking. The one on the bottom is the one that was rattling, that was shot. Oh, my lug nuts and my hubcaps are in there. Then there's the wheel. It's quite dirty. And then here's my brake rotor with the hub. The hub is obviously in pretty good shape, really. So we're not worrying about that too much. Then, of course, you guys will see it tomorrow in the Project Explorer. Bare axle in the truck. The dust shield and stuff still intact. But alright, thank you guys for tuning into this pretty long video, I know. But I really just wanted to talk about it because I never really gave you guys the full story. And I felt like now is the perfect time to do it. Anyway, guys, I'll see you guys later. Take care, everyone.